Hi guys, Senua here and welcome to my review of Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. This is the first ever review on my channel, so I hope you guys really like it. Over the past week I've been playing Hellblade non-stop, and I just finished the game over the weekend as of recording this. Now before we get into this, I want to warn you guys that there will be spoilers in this review, so proceed at your own risk. Now that that little spoiler warning's out of the way, let's get right into it. I stepped into Hellblade pretty much blind. Of course I'd done my research on this game, so I knew what it was about. I just didn't know how it would unfold. And the beginning of Hellblade doesn't hold back. After a failed battle, you then become aware of the Rot, the game's permadeath system. So it starts off in your hand. Think like the black spot in Pirates of the Caribbean that Jack Sparrow gets. But once it reaches your head, you're done. It's very Dark Souls-esque. And then after that, every fight is a desperate scramble. Once you become aware of the Rot, it's like, holy crap, I don't want to die. I need to win every fight I get myself into. Which brings me to my first point, the Rot, a kind of permadeath system. In combat, you find yourself scrambling around, blocking and evading enemy attacks in the hopes that you'll stay alive. Now, we're going to be entering spoiler territory for the endgame here, so spoiler alert. Once you reach the end of the game, however, the Rot is a complete cop-out. There was never a permadeath system. The game completely lies to you. Now, I have seen people like Total Biscuit complaining about the permadeath system, saying that there was absolutely no point of putting it in the game, and it was a stupid decision on Ninja Fury's part. However, I think it fits with the narrative. At the end of the game, Senua comes to terms with her situation. She grows as a person. And this darkness that's plagued her life, telling her that every bad thing ever is her fault, has kind of been conquered. Now in hindsight, it's easier to argue that the permadeath illusion was pointless and not needed. But for me, when I played the game, it made sense. The way the writers handled it, it felt smooth and not awkward. Like it was a part of the game, and it fell into place with the story. The story, I cannot express how much I loved it. You see Senua venturing off somewhat blindly into the land of the Northmen, afraid, uncertain of everything, but determined to go to Helheim and fight for the soul of her lover Dillion. We see her fight against not only these Norse gods, but also against her own psychotic delusions she has. I want to save my thoughts on the mental illness side of things for a separate video, but the portrayal of her delusions and her psychosis, along with the voices in her head, was really nicely dealt with. Ninja Fury used binaural audio to get the voices in Senua's head to seem either right by your ear or distant or circling you, and let me tell you, it bloody worked. I felt like I was watching an ASMR video while I was playing. How the game handled Senua's psychosis was done with respect and a great amount of care. But back to the story side of things. The last 3 hours of the game hit me right in the feels. Things are already tense throughout the game, but it doesn't hit you hard until those last 3 hours, I found. There's a segment in the game where you must go through trials to gain access to a sword. I found myself completely sucked into the stories and the environments behind each trial. The final one, where you lose your sight, is the one that hit me the hardest. It's pitch black, and there are monsters in the dark that you have to be careful, sneaking around, and Senua's panicking and scared. And the spirit of her lover Dillion is there, comforting her, telling her things like, focus on your breathing, you're in control, you've got this, they can't hurt you. And I myself even found his words calming during the segment, as even I was getting anxious because Senua was anxious. Yay for being a heavy empath. Anyway, when I got to the end of the game, I was pretty much in tears and in awe at the story I got to watch unfold. The ending, while it's a bit of a mindfuck, felt right. And I think Ninja Fury did an absolutely beautiful job on the story. I also like the narrator voice that you heard throughout the game. Through that voice, you learn more about Senua and her past, including those that were around her, like her mother, her father, Dillion, and her friend Druth. I also enjoyed listening to Druth tell stories of Norse mythology, as I went about my journey as well. The blend of Celtic and Norse mythology was also a good addition, from the enemies you had to fight to the lore uncovered by listening to Druth and in the environment itself. One little detail I appreciated was how Senua's appearance changed over the course of the game. The war paint on her face becomes cracked and wiped away, she's covered in blood and dirt, and she looks completely haggard and worn out. These little details to her appearance really make you see how gritty and rough her journey is for her physically. There were a few annoying moments though. I mean, what's a review about looking over the little annoying bits? Upon loading up the game, save for the flickers of fire, all I could see were those and Senua. Everything was pitch black, but it did load up properly after about a minute or so of me wandering around in the dark like a dickhead. The cases where I had to restart my game, not right from the beginning mind you, were where I'd get stuck on bits of the environment with no way to get out of it. I think that's probably my only gripes about the game, honestly. Not many things bothered me that much. Well, maybe except the puzzles in the illusion world with one of the first two gods you encounter. Fuck that place. I mainly didn't like that segment purely because I personally hate puzzles. I've never been good at them. So that's a bit of a selective downside for me personally. The puzzles themselves were quite trippy, tying in Senua's delusions and Norse symbols together in an unlikely but pretty well done partnership. It works. The combat in this game is very hack and slash, and if you're familiar with any of Ninja Fury's previous titles like DMC, you'll know that this is probably very familiar. I wouldn't know. I haven't played anything from Ninja Fury before Hellblade. It's challenging and brutal. At one point I was facing off against 7 enemies at once that just kept coming and coming. What balances this out is definitely Senua's focus ability, where you slow down time and absolutely destroy the crap out of your enemies in an almost uninterrupted flow. While challenging, I found this style of combat to be fast paced and quite fun, even rage worthy at times. Nothing like a bit of healthy rage when you play a game, right? Overall, I'd say that Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is a brilliantly done game. It has some things that could be improved upon with patches, but technical things aside, it's a great game. If you're thinking about getting Hellblade, I highly recommend you do it. I pre-ordered the game, and I regret nothing. Money well spent, the story moved me, and I felt honoured to get to know Senua and see her story unfold. Now I pass the question to you guys. Have you played Hellblade? What are your thoughts? And if you haven't, is it something you may pick up? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching my review of Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. If you like this, please give it a like and or subscribe if you are new and you want to see more content like this, and consider checking out my Patreon as it will fuel the growth of my content's quality and the variety of said contents. And as always, it is Icefire signing off, and I'll see you introverts or later next time on the channel. Have a lovely day / night wherever you are in the world. Bye!